sing.
We could sing, or we could say you're listening to Dumpster Diving with
Janice,
and Jane. And we are going to spare you all the torture of us singing or
you know
me
what?
singing in general.
I have a melodic voice, and you know how I know? Because I've told myself that many times, and I don't lie.
You can keep telling yourself that,
So
and other
many,
people
many,
have different opinions.
many voices in my head have told me over and over again.
All the voices in my head love
All
my
of them.
all
And
of
there
them.
are a lot of them.
Yeah,
And they all took a vote and said, I'm the best. So, but you know what? That's
unanimous.
okay. We'll spare our listeners this year. If they stick around long enough for next year, then maybe we'll sing to them next year. We'll see. It's
Well,
Monday, by the way. You guys, let's set the stage. It's Monday evening,
yes.
and it's a week before Christmas. So we're way ahead of our recording in that we're getting this in a week before Christmas
Oh my God.
or Christmas Eve. But hey, and it's Monday a week before, and I have my wine because it's gonna be a week and it's already been a day. So yeah,
And you
that's
have
what's happening right now.
4 days.
That's what's happening.
Well,
Yeah. Santa's got a lot of shit to wrap.
yeah.
And I need to take my own advice in terms of the whole like it doesn't all have to be perfect. It doesn't all have to be, but we have our to set the stage for our kids, because you've heard this, Jane. We have all this not to set the stage for the kids, to see I told you, to set the stage for our listeners
The
around the
weekend
world.
is really getting out of control at this.
Whew. Right. Let me tell you really quickly. So the wine glass I'm holding, if you're watching on YouTube, you can't even really see it because it's blurred out, but it has three lines. The smallest line says good day. The second medium line, highest line says bad day. And the highest line says don't even ask. And when I
Ooh.
went to pour my wine, it wouldn't go up to the highest line. And so I felt really ripped off because that's where I was.
Well, now that you've drank down to the medium line, I mean, how are you feeling now
Yeah.
about your day?
Oh, fantastic. No,
Yeah,
fantastic.
see?
Good. It's
Problem
good. It's good.
gone.
Problem solved. But anyway, so the context is all of our kids. So Joe and I have six between us, of course, and our two grandkids will all be here between, well, different times. They come in staggered between Christmas and New Year's. The first family starts coming this week. Like Wednesday, my cousin arrives. Thursday, oldest daughter family arrives, and boom, boom, boom. Then we keep going from there. So yeah, Santa's like got stuff all over, and stuff's got to get wrapped before they get here. And plus, my job wants me to work this week. I'm not really sure what that's about, but evidently I'm supposed to also be working.
Yeah,
So
mine too.
there's stuff, man. There's stuff. There's stuff. But speaking of work, we
Yeah,
figured we would entertain everybody today,
we would. We would.
right? We're
Yes.
going to talk about, office parties because, we've had our own experiences. We
Yep.
went online and did a little searching for, no, really seriously, what's the worst office party stories, right? We're sure you guys have yours and we'd love to hear them. But, yeah, so that's where I am a week before Christmas. How are you doing a week before Christmas before we jump into our stories?
Ooh, I have lots going on a week before Christmas. It's
Mhm.
it's a busy week for me. We we are dark at my tech center, and so dark meaning we don't
It
have.
doesn't mean the power's been turned off. It
No,
means,
no, no, no. We pay our bills. No, actually, the power was out yesterday because there was a fire down the street.
oh,
Crazy.
damn.
Yeah, big fire. So they
Oh,
got it out though
oh,
before
thank
the
goodness.
or that was Saturday before the team left and all that fun
Okay.
stuff, crazy stuff.
Okay.
But no, dark meaning we don't have any youth programming going on for
Like
the
no
next.
events or what have you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is my time as the director of
Oof.
operations to get all the stuff done, the repairs.
Nice.
This is broken, that's broken, this needs paint, blah blah. And I go through this about 4 times a year. Every
Yeah.
time we have a session end, we have a couple of dark weeks, and then it's time to get stuff done.
Nice.
So it's been a busy week for me operationally, just trying to get all that stuff done, payroll, just
Yeah.
it's a busy week. Time
Yeah.
does not stop. The world does not stop because Christmas is among us.
Really doesn't, man.
Doesn't. It doesn't. And my kids, I remember when the kids were little, they're like, "You don't get a summer break." And I'm like, "Ugh, I wish. I wish I had a summer break, Christmas break, like all those things. Like I don't
Oh
get
yeah.
you do, kid." But and it's funny because when I was a kid, I didn't understand it either. I'm like, "What do
Yeah.
you
Of
mean you
course
don't have
not.
off?" This is weird.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
but yeah, the speaking of the holiday parties, I mean, I think we've all had our fair share of holiday parties, and even through COVID, my very first holiday party with the company I work for was via Zoom, and it was a ugly Christmas sweater party. And
Nice.
yeah, and it was like a month into me working there, and I ended up winning the contest. I wore a giant Christmas gift bag. I cut holes in it, cut the bottom out of it,
Nice.
put my arms through it. I had tissue paper all stapled, so I had tissue paper up to my chin, and then I had lights in the tissue paper, and I had a giant bow on top of my head.
Oh
And
my gosh.
it was great. And everybody was like, "You've got to be kidding me." They're like,
That's
"Obviously she
insane.
wins." Like, what?
I love it.
Present. I'm like, this is for you guys. I don't know. So,
I
but
love it.
but I always love the competition of decorating or any type of contest and stuff like that, because
Yeah,
in my
absolutely.
mind, it's what's the name of the game, I win. So
Obviously.
I don't know where I get that competitive.
I got accused of being competitive, and we had our all staff meeting last Friday, so it's all virtual. And I don't
Okay.
even know what I did. And somebody made a joke about me being competitive, and I'm like, okay, I don't know where this is coming from, but now that you've said it, I'm gonna lean into it.
Yeah, you're like, look, you think this is competitive? You
And then
just
I proceeded to lean into it. So yeah,
yes.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
I don't know. I'm not a spiteful person or anything like that, but when it comes to winning something,
I likes to win.
I like to win. And I
I
went
feel like we probably get that from the Doxy genes. I mean, we definitely have gotten t-shirts printed
this
about
is
our
the thing,
father.
this is a common thread with you and I, so it
Yeah.
must be our father.
It
That was
must be our father, which, by the way, what's great about having a father who I've never met and who has been long gone now is that we can say anything we want. And, um, people aren't going to run to his defense. But funny little tangential story on the 23andMe side of this saga of ours is
yeah,
that when I was growing up, I stuck out like a sore thumb for my family, right? Like I
really.
was good in school, I was athletic, I was all the things, right? Like I was the first person in my family to graduate high school, to go to college. As far as I know, I'm the only one who's ever gone to college, like a 4-year university. Etc. And I stuck out like a sore thumb. And so even to this day, people will say to me, given what you went through and given what your family was like, how did you turn out to be like a successful adult? And I used to, prior to a year and a half ago, say it must be my biological father. And listeners, if you don't know why that's funny, you need to go back to the
Like,
very
yeah, you need to
beginning
listen. You need to listen to all of that.
and listen
Yeah.
to a few episodes.
Right? I
Yeah,
used to say that too. I must get it from my dad, but he was fucked up. So I don't know.
I
I
don't
think
know.
we just hit the I think we hit the with my mother and with your mother with the mental illness and stuff like that. I think it
Yeah,
skipped us,
I
you know,
get it.
thankfully,
Thankfully.
and I don't know. I don't know.
Well, skip this, and honestly, yeah, who knows what it is about our genetic makeup that makes us more resilient and makes us, have the ability to persevere and stuff like that. Unlike some of, I can speak for my siblings, that kind of stuff. Like, who knows? But in the end, I think what we've both done is proven that there's a lot in life that is about choice, right?
Right.
And so once you get to a certain age, right? And that's not to put a negative spin on anybody who's suffering or anybody who's still in it and trying to figure out the way out, obviously. Um, but I can speak for myself. I made a lot of hard choices along the way to be where I am
Right.
today, right? Nothing was given to me, nothing was given to you.
Oh.
Um,
Well, and here's the thing too. We didn't make all the right choices.
exactly.
Oh my gosh, like I've made plenty of terrible choices.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, I mean, I survived a lot of my early adulthood, my young
Yeah.
adulthood. I survived day to day and
Yeah.
I figured it
Yeah.
out every day. And some days I still feel like I survive and I'm like, how did I get through this day? Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
But it's the aspect, I think it's the outlook.
Yeah.
Outlook has
Yeah.
such a huge factor in it, and really where our energy resides.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of my youth clients today, and he's such a sweet guy, and we were talking, and he was telling me about his perspective and stuff like that, and I said, yeah, I get that. And I know people that, or it wasn't his perspective, it was somebody else's. And I said, I could use my mother as an example, being in that, the coaching training that I went through, we talked about 7 levels of energy, one being the
Yeah.
lowest and 7 being the highest. And I said, my mother resides in level 2 energy, which
Mm.
is victim. Level one is I'm worth nothing.
Yeah.
I don't see any value here, nothing, I'm worthless, whatever. Level two is my problems are because of everybody else. It's the
Yes, absolutely.
and so and you hit level three and you start, you're like, okay, I'm still kind of in the blame game, but I can sweep things under the rug and keep going.
Right.
I can maintain a little bit, and so on and so forth. But level two is that, I'm just pointing everywhere and saying it's all of your
Yeah.
fault. And
Yeah.
because he brought up the aspect of why do some people act so so like childish or whatever. And I said, well, you have to think about, I said, I'll use my mom for an example. I said, when my mother reacts to things, she acts like a 14, 15-year-old child.
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
said, and the reason for that is because something happened in that point in her life that was either traumatic or obviously changed her
Yeah.
perception to for her to think that that's the only way to do it.
She
You know,
got stuck almost, right? Like it's like she got
I
stuck.
said she's stunted at that age in that
Yeah.
room. I said, so you have to think about the person, how they're behaving, if they're acting like a child, throwing a temper tantrum,
Yeah.
stomping their feet, doing all of those things. Think about what age is acquired, like where
Yeah.
that shows up. And that's probably where they are mentally in that moment
That's right.
because they're stuck. And I said, and for people like me and you, where we can see beyond that and go, yeah, this sucks, but it's okay.
Yeah.
We have a different outlook. They're
Yeah.
stuck. There is no outlook. It is,
That's
this
right.
is what it is. And so he was like, oh, wow. Like I said, so don't always take it as they're just quote unquote crazy or whatever you want to say. It's not that. It's just that in that moment in time, they got pulled right back to where they were
That
at
was
that
it.
time.
That's right. Yeah.
So, we have to remember that when we're dealing with other people and
Yeah.
everything.
All
So,
the things. No, I appreciate how you explain that. And I can't remember how I derailed us off into this.
yeah.
But
But
hey, here we are. Hey, Merry Christmas. We're a week away. So I do value like being able to think about kind of where we are and where we've come from and all the things. So, but
right.
we're not gonna get all melancholy on you today, you guys. We're just gonna,
Oh,
we're just gonna think about these. So you started talking about your context this week, and before we go into story, so the part we had a different idea for this episode for that's going to air on Christmas Eve or maybe sooner, because what the hell, why not? It's not like anybody's checking a box and going, they did not put this on a Sunday. What
nobody's
the
holding us
hell?
accountable.
Like
Nobody's holding.
nobody's holding us accountable. So with that in mind, so before we go there, I will say that Jane started to comment on my hair, and if
Yes.
you're watching
So
us
let's
on YouTube,
rewind.
hold
Yeah.
on,
Let's
my
rewind.
camera went all blurry. Hold on, there we go. Try it again. There we go. So I went to my guy who does my hair a week ago,
Yeah. Tell me
and
what happened.
his name is Bruce, and he's fantastic. He does hair out of his garage. It's not the fanciest place by any stretch, but he's really good at what he does. And so I just said to him, let's go a little darker, right? Because I've been kind of blonde, it was the summer and all this stuff. And I said, let's go a little darker. And then literally I start reading on my phone. Like I mean, he and I chat a little bit and then he goes about, which is part of why I like him, because I'm not the person who's like going to sit in a salon and like talk for 2 hours to somebody who's doing my, not that it ever takes him 2 hours, but I digress. Anyway, and so I look up when he was the first, and I was like, when the dye was still in it, and I was like, that is really dark. And he was like, oh, it's not going to be that dark. So, and now it's really dark. And so it literally, I swear to you, this is at least brown. When I came out of there, I swear it looked black. Now, interestingly enough, it is really as close to the root color of my roots as any hair I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
So my hair is getting darker the older I'm getting.
Yeah.
Um, and so it took me a couple of days to stop, like, not hyperventilating. It's hair. I don't actually give a crap that much, but to stop going, oh my God, it's like shy. Like I literally got home and I was
Drastic.
walking by the mirror in my bathroom, and I scared myself, right? Because I was like, so if you're not watching on YouTube, you need to go watch it on YouTube. So yeah, much darker. So it'll grow and it'll lighten up. But then he did say, he said, because it was so blonde, we had like the hair won't hold the color. Like I had to go dark enough to, and I was like, dude, I'm good. Like I always trust Bruce. So I'm like, I'm good. It's fine. It's all good. It's hair, man.
Should have just freaked him out and said, shave it off right
Shave it
now.
off. I can't tolerate it. So, but the cool thing about him though, honestly, is he had a couple of guys waiting to go next. Cause otherwise I could have said to him, what can you do? And he would have done something, right? Like takes good care of people. So anybody needs somebody for their hair in San Diego, I highly recommend Bruce. Call me for his number. Anywho, so yes, that's where the hair came from. But we ended up deciding on
There
this.
is. No, just
So
kidding.
I hope everybody's following, paying close attention to this conversation, because you had your office party like a week and a half ago ish, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you and I were chatting afterwards, and you were telling me some of the stories, some of which you can share, some of which you can't, I'm sure.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
was like, what the fuck? Because I'm an educator, right? So educator parties, first off, don't have alcohol. Now, in my post public school education, when we have holiday parties, yes, now there's alcohol. But as an educator, there's no alcohol at holiday parties, right? So to
Right.
hear you tell this story, I was like, okay, we are doing an episode now about years or worst or whatever you want to call them. I looked up a couple of we can share, but we got to hear your story
Oh
because,
man.
and the highlights, right? The things that are the big ones, because yeah, like I said, I'm sure there's some things you can share and some things you can't.
Yeah, yeah. I am
Jane
going.
was naked at the end of the night. Keep going. Just wanted to
Well, come. Why are you
spoiler.
giving away the yes?
Spoiler.
Gee.
Can you imagine?
Oh my God.
That's how
Well,
the story
it's
ends.
funny. Yeah, it's so funny because you know, you spend time with people at work more than you do with your own family. And so our smaller group, my team that I'm on, we have about 24 people. And so we're all really close knit. We actually had like a little lunch holiday party last Friday,
Nice.
and it was fun. We did karaoke and we had Italian food, and I decorated the tables, and you know, it was fun, and we were playing
Nice.
music and just having a good time. We did a white elephant gift exchange, which I got a really cool electric heated throw blanket, which is
Oh,
amazing. Oh my gosh,
nice.
it's just a nice little throw blanket. It's not one of the big ones,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh my gosh, it's so perfect. And I got it on a steal from my boss. So yeah,
Nice.
so but yeah, it was, you know, that was fun, and we ended up staying, you know, until 8 o'clock at night, you know, just trying to clean
Oh,
up and do everything, but it was fun. But the holiday party for the entire company, which we have over 200 employees now,
right.
was off the chain. Like we know how to throw a party. Let me just say
Right.
that. Let me just paint the scene here.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh. So we have this, I think it's 13,000 square foot building.
Right.
Gutted. It's just brick and mortar, big, you know, metal beams down the middle. And we've turned it into, we call it the depot, but we've turned it into an event space. And so we actually have this giant LED, like I think it's 20 by 20 giant screen
Oh my
hanging
gosh.
suspended from the ceiling. We have
Yeah.
pipe and drape, you know, we have a stage. And then we actually have a loft, which we call the mezzanine, which has a speakeasy in it. There's a little bar,
Right.
you know, it's super cool, right?
Right.
So, but it may normally it's just this big open empty warehouse, but we know how to throw parties. Like we take great pride in throwing these parties. And so this year's theme was holidays around the world.
Oh,
So we had these things printed out with like scenery from 7 or 8 different countries. There
yeah.
were 20 by 10 banners, and then they were zip tied in between the big metal beams. And so, and then each one, so there was one for France. It had the Eiffel Tower. We had a mime on a ball, rolling on a ball, juggling things as you take
Oh my
pictures.
gosh.
I'm not kidding. Like we had passports, and you had to go to each country and get your picture taken, and then that was one raffle ticket into where you won like a trip to Malibu
Wow.
weekend. Like we had Antarctica, and we had a girl in like a beanie and mittens, and we had all these animals, and it was like, you know, it looked like Antarctica with all the animals. And then we had Africa, where we brought in these freaking resin animals, and it was like the Serengeti, and then it was like we had a lion, a zebra, a baby zebra, and a giraffe, and we got to
Oh
take
my
pictures with
gosh.
them. Like it was so cool, right? And then France, we had like little bistro tables and stuff like that. We had India, we had Mexico, and then we had Morocco was upstairs in the speakeasy. We had
Wow.
pillows and lanterns everywhere, and I mean,
Right.
it's just really rad, right? Well, and then we had food from all over the world. We had Nigerian
Right.
food, Indian food, like, I mean, just all the
Yeah.
food,
Yeah.
sushi. I mean, a lot of resources went into this
Right.
party.
I was gonna say, holy crap.
And I was part of setting it up
Right.
and getting stuff done and everything else and taking it down and all
Uh,
of that fun stuff. So a lot went into it. Well, there was an open bar, as always, at our
Right,
parties,
right,
but we're used to having an open bar with like 100 people.
right.
This was an open bar with like 300 people,
Oh my
and
God.
so, and there was a slight problem, which became very apparent to me towards the end of the night was we weren't serving beer. We were serving wine and hard liquor all night, open
That
bar.
is so weird.
Well, they forgot. Like the something happened where we were supposed to have beer. So
Right.
normal beer drinkers are now drinking hard alcohol all
Oh
night.
God.
There was puke. There was there I mean, it
Oh my God.
there there was so here's the thing. Me and my two besties outside of work and inside of work besties, they're oh my gosh, we have such a good time together. We were talking about it, and one of my friends, Tammy, she's like, you don't do things that you don't do at home out in public. And I was like, agreed. Now,
Agreed.
some people get drunk and crazy at home, yes, but do they usually go to the holiday party? Probably not, because
Right.
there's got other things going on, right? So, and I was like, that is great advice.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that philosophy, I think, and so it was like people it was crazy. Like I had one drink, and you know me, I don't really drink. I
Right.
had one drink, I got like sweaty because my body's not used
Right.
to the alcohol anymore, and I'm like, I need to go outside. But then we had like a pizza truck outside where they had brick oven pizza and they were feeding. I look over and there's this young man who, I can't remember what department he works in. A puddle of puke underneath him. He's
Oh my God.
hanging off the side of the chair. One of my employees is like patting him on the back, like, "Oh, it's okay." I'm like, "What are you doing?" He has no idea you're there.
Right.
Like, "What?" Like, "You're fine." He needs to handle this. We have security in case
Right.
anybody needs to get an Uber, whatever. Well, later on, I'm walking out of one building into the building where we have the Christmas party going on, and I look over and we had Japan, where we had like the paper dividers and lanterns hanging from the
Yeah.
ceiling, the couch. I mean, we had bonsai trees. I mean, it was crazy. We took one of our couches out of my tech center, and there's this kid again laying down with another puddle of puke on my couch. I'm like,
Uh,
oh my God. And my other friend, Janae, was like, Jane, we need it. I was like, no, we're not, no, this is not
right.
our problem. We can't.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, let security handle it. So finally, like, and then he comes outside, they turn on one of those heaters, and I hear some commotion. I turn around. He's laying on the heater, like leaned up on the heater. I'm like,
Oh
oh my
my
God, he's gonna burn
gosh.
himself. So I pull him off of the heater. I'm like, when did this turn into babysitting? I don't know.
Exactly.
I'm just like,
Exactly.
when is this kid going home?
Yep.
Please go
Yep.
home. But there were other things. The dance floor was packed. There was a lot of questionable things going on. I had somebody that's very much so in a relationship tell me that they were single for the night. And it was like,
Oh.
wow, okay.
Oh
And
my
then
gosh.
a couple people were getting a little like feisty, like in the way of like almost fighting because they're just drunk and aggro. And everybody's fine, right?
Right.
It was a good
Yeah.
time. Everybody had a great time. Everybody's alive. Everybody's fine. But oh my gosh, I was like, this is a lot of people to maintain.
Well,
So yeah,
in the moment, right? What's crazy about that is like I love Tammy's advice about don't do stuff outside of your house that you wouldn't do inside of your house.
right.
The next step of that is and when my girls were younger and going through high school and into college and knowing that they're going to be drinking and stuff, the way we actually one of our expressions is don't be that girl, right? And we use it for a lot of reasons. For those of you who are really sensitive about gender definitions, I get it. I'm just saying in this case, space and time, that's the expression we use. And the idea is like in this case, it was don't be that girl who's not aware of what she can and can't drink at a gathering, and everybody else has to take care of. And since then, of course, they all had to take care of that girl, and they only had to take care of that girl one time, and they were like,
Like
"Mom,
never.
you are so right. Like that sucks to be the people who now we're not actually enjoying ourselves because we got to take care of you because you
Right.
couldn't manage your own, fun or whatever." So yes, having to be like as full on adults, right, who work for a company, it just like astonishes me because I'm just like I can't imagine doing that in front of people I work with, right? Like you said, like if you have your bestie who's at home and at like that's a different story.
That's
But
different. Yeah, yeah.
just, your bosses are there, like that's insane.
Yeah. No, it was very entertaining to say the
Yeah.
least, and but I've had other Christmas, or like not Christmas, but holiday parties or like celebration parties where like employees end up in the fountain,
Oh wow.
and of the hotel that we're at. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember one time, well, this is actually a funny story. This was my very first day at work when I
Okay.
worked for a I don't want to say the company name, but I worked
Yeah.
for in the tattoo industry.
Yeah.
And we had a certain rock star that was part owner of the company I worked for. And
Okay.
he came to the party. And this is at the time before he was no longer drinking or doing other things, and early 2000s. And he was so drunk, and there were so many drunk people. And mind you, it's a bunch of tattoo artists too. So, it's just like, let's party. So, and I got invited to the holiday party my day before I went to work. And so I go to the holiday party, everybody's smashed, crazy, all this stuff. I have to be at work the next day at like
Right.
9 a.m. My boss is working with me, my brand new boss. She's puking in the bathroom half the day, like totally hungover and stuff like that. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's okay. But they had, it was a great time, and it was a good
Oh
dinner
my
and all that stuff.
gosh.
But it was crazy, and they were getting wasted, and
Yeah.
it was raining really bad outside, and they were like running around and throwing, like pushing people in the rain, and like it was
Right.
nuts. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be working with all of these people. This is,
Oh my gosh, that is
but
insane.
it
I
wasn't
will
that bad.
say
I had
like
some great
so
years.
oh yeah, absolutely. And after you were telling me your story, since then we had Joe's holiday party. And I will say one of the things I love about how they do it is like it's basically everybody gets two drink tickets, right? So there are two drinks on the house. After that, you pay for them. And I do think there's something beneficial in terms of people are
Totally.
more likely to can keep track of what they're drinking,
Yes.
right? When they're actually buying it. So I thought that was a really nice balance. And his the guy who owns this company was really diligent a couple of different times during the night, right? Of like just saying out loud to people like we're paying for the Ubers, like there's no excuse to
Right.
overindulge and drive. There's no excuse to whatever. But yeah, comparatively, it was rather sedate in terms of that, right? Like everybody was, drinking and having a great time. They throw a really great party. There's a casino, there's games, there's
Nice.
big prizes at the end, all that fun stuff. So they do a really good job, but fairly sedate in terms of like the amount, I guess, that people were drinking and stuff. But I will say, you mentioned like the hotel, and you made me flashback to when Joe and I first, well, not even first, we had probably been dating a year or two, and he was in the Navy still at the time, and he was stationed down in the Virginia Beach area on the East Coast, and they had their squadron holiday party.
Uh,
And he at the time he was a part of a ship's crew, right? So 3,000 people on this ship, right? So it
wow.
was huge, right? It was at a hotel. It was, multiple floors, different, like kind of like you like they had a DJ in one room, they had a live band in another room, they had, all kinds of different like Latino music in a different room, like they all kinds of stuff. But the vivid memory I have, because at the time I was a high school principal, and so, we're going to this, he's an officer, so like he's in his full whatever, I'm in like an evening dress kind of a thing, right? All the way to the floor. And we walk into the lobby of this big party, and I look around myself and I look at him and I say, we are fucking at prom. Because so many of the young sailors have their
Uh-huh.
young girlfriends, and they're all like, they're covering as little as possible, which that's fine. Like from a fashion perspective, if that makes you happy, do you, that's all fine. But I guess I expected it to be a little bit different because it
More
was
mature.
and it wasn't at all. I was like, you didn't tell me we were chaperoning prom. I do that already. I didn't need to.
He's like, be quiet.
It was so funny, but everybody had a great time. It was just, but what was sweet about it in retrospect, even though in that moment I was like, oh my God, these people are like as old as the kids who go to my school. What was sweet about it is, it was like watching a bunch of young kids play adult. You know what I mean? Like play grown up. And
Grown
so
up, yeah.
that part was actually really sweet, right? As they navigated what you knew was probably their first like adult
Real thing.
party,
Yeah.
real thing, So that part was actually really sweet.
Oh, that's
Um,
cute.
so yeah. I just remember like prom. Good Lord, man. And to your point on the dance floor, like, as a principal, when you chaperone dances, right? Like, for me, I was very, like, I had a good rapport with kids, right? So, like, I would walk up to two kids on the dance floor who were practically having sex and be like, we're not making babies tonight. Like, that's what I would say, right? Like, we're not making babies tonight. Like, and they'd be like, sorry, Mrs. K. And then they back up from each other. And then as soon as I walked away, they go right back to it, right? But there was plenty of that night on the dance floor too. And I was like, not my problem, like you said. I'm
Yeah,
like, not
like
my problem.
this is not our problem. I'm
Do
like,
you? Do
we set
you?
this all up, we coordinated a lot of stuff, we assisted in many different ways, but that we are not assisting with. I'm
Not my
not his mother,
problem.
not his mother.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. All right. So I'm looking at the time and I feel like, I mean, we could read a couple of these other awful stories, but I don't even know that we need to. I feel like right now it's like, I
yeah,
would love though, in all seriousness, like when the 25,000 people who listen to this episode right away, because it's pretty big, right? The downloads right out of the gate are pretty big. I would love for a few of you, like in the comments of YouTube. I sounded like I was 100, on the YouTube, on the internet, you know what
on
I mean?
the
On the
Google
internet,
machine.
on the Google machine.
Oh,
Ooh.
Janice.
If you have a story that we just have to hear, put it in the comments of the YouTube channel because we will share it at the top of our next episode because why the hell not, right? So,
Yeah, yeah,
but just so fun. And, we are staring down the face of Christmas, you guys. You heard us at the top of the episode. I am like in that super stress because there's so much to do, but it is honestly happy stress, right? Like I am,
yeah.
you
You're
know,
excited.
I'm excited. I love doing all the things. I am reminding myself though that I need to like let go of perfect. And I'm actually pretty good about that. But there are times where I get so caught up in the details that I realize I'm doing it, right? I'm like sliding into that. Oh, but if I
Yeah.
just do this extra little thing, it'll be this. That's stupid, right? Nobody cares. Our kids are just happy to come here and hang out and be. And so I'm gonna keep reminding myself of that mantra this week heading up to it. How about you?
Yeah, I'm kind of in that mode too, and I'm
Yeah,
just finishing up some of the shopping for my older kids,
yeah.
Emily and Tyler, and doing that kind of stuff. And Tyler had a special request. He wanted some real printed out pictures, and stuff
Oh, I
like that.
love
So
that.
I got to get that done this week.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to pace myself and get that stuff done and not too stressed out
Good.
about it too much. I have next
Good.
week off the whole week, so I'm super
Yay, me
excited about
too.
that.
Me
Yeah.
too. Oh my
So
God.
I'm gonna get some quality time with Jenny
Yeah.
Penny, and Chase is gonna be in Arizona, so she leaves
Okay.
Friday. But my friend Janae, her birthday is next week, and I'm not gonna be able to hang out with her for her birthday,
Yeah.
so we're going out this Friday night. So I'm excited about that. That'll
Oh,
be
fun.
yeah, we're going to this cool place in Burbank and gonna get some
Love
cool
that.
dinner and do something else afterwards. So yeah, it'll be a
Love
good
it.
time. I'm excited for it.
So we know that we think this is our last episode before the new year. So we will see
Maybe.
everybody in 2024, unless we decide to do something different, which we could. Who knows? You never know with us. Um, but this is our first Christmas episode. How
It
exciting is
is.
that?
Yeah.
First Christmas
Well, you know
episode.
what? And our very first episode was on January 1st of 2023.
That's right, girl.
So we may have to do like maybe you know,
Quick little
a
something, something.
just maybe a little snidbit, just
I like
congratulating
it.
ourselves on 1 year of
I like the
doing this.
idea of congratulating ourselves. I
This
like that
was hard
now.
work all year. You
It's
guys,
shit, man.
it's we we we're nuts. We really are. We do so many things, and we were able to crank out
It'll
20
be 30,
episodes.
29. I think this might be 29.
Yeah,
This one.
I think we should do a
Yeah.
30th episode. I think we need to commit to that.
Oh,
Or
Jesus. I
to
mean, okay. I love that idea. We should totally do that.
well, listen. If I have to teach you everything about Google and correct your attitude, this is going to be a problem.
Nice round number 30. Okay. All right. 30. All right. 30, 30, 30. I like it.
Maybe
I like
30
it. We can,
minutes on the 30th, like it doesn't matter.
oh, look at you. You're so
30
smart.
minutes, 30th episode on the 30th. What do you think about
Okay.
that?
You're so smart. I love it. All right.
Oh, 30, 30, 30.
Just text me. I won't remember.
Such a jerk.
All
All right,
right,
guys.
guys. Happy
Happy holidays
holidays, no matter what you celebrate. Thanks for listening, and we will see you on the 30th, evidently.
for 30 minutes.
Peace
Well,
out.
episode. Bye.